This morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 3 is an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. I don't see anyone. So we'll move on to item number 4. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, changes, or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is consent agenda items. Do we have a motion? Included in the consent agenda are the approval of the minutes, approval of the travel requests, approval of personnel action notices, approval of cellular authorization, approval of the human services report. Would there be a motion to approve?
So
Move
moved.
approval.
Second.
Any comments on this one? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6, routine business. 6A is approval of the claims. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
I did hand out one correction. It was just a $12 correction, moving one of the registration fees from equalization into the commission budget where it needed to be. So I handed that information out.
Anything further? Call the roll, please.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
6B, department head reports. We don't have Brian. Stacy, did he give you anything besides his written report?
No,
So
just his written report.
the written report with updates for the bridge and the photos of that are included in the packet. If there are any questions, I would imagine we can address those to Brian directly. Any comments on the highway department report? We'll move on to county development. Bob Hill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had a partial report sent out to you. Do you have any questions on any of those? And then to add to that report, we did our iPause test on last Wednesday. I participated in a couple things on via Zoom. I did attend a rural fire protection meeting over at the East Fire Station on Thursday. I plan on going on the radio. You'll see me leave here right after this meeting. I'm going to go over to the radio today. And the main topic today is the storm spotter training that we got for April 26th. I did put a flyer on everyone's desk, and I put some in the back for people to go. The storm spotter training can literally be anybody that wants to come. This is not a storm chasing type class. This is to teach you what to look for in case you're at home and see a big storm blow by and stuff like that. And you can actually, they explain to you how, if you want to call in a report to the National Weather Service, you can. And they call it a Skywarn system. But the big thing, the reason we're having it at the Rotunda D is we're including Moody County and Lake County into Brookings County. We try to have this every other year in Brookings County, and then the odd year we send people either to Moody County or Lake County. So that's why the National Weather Service. And we typically have it like at the East Fire Station, but we can only hold 50 people there. We anticipate more than 50 people. Tomorrow, me and the sheriff's going to Mitchell for a Homeland Security grant meeting. We've got a travel request that was approved during the last meeting. March 29th, the Brookings Fire Department is hosting their annual feed at the East Fire Station. The Joint Jurisdiction Ordinance is in the hands of the planning commissioners, at least a draft of it. The planning commissioners, the city and the county planning commissioners are taking a look at the joint ordinance now and how it's assembled and everything that's in there. And then we're going to meet. We got a tentative meeting of March 29th, but something tells me that's going to be the first meeting in April when we actually end up meeting. But we're going to meet and go over it. hash things out, and then we're gonna have a public hearing at the planning commission level, and then we will send that document after that public hearing to the county commission and the city council for you guys to do your proper meetings also on that. And you might ask, well, how's that meeting going? And we've got other commissioners that attend that meeting and sitting on the board, and if you have any comments, you can speak your mind. From a staff perspective, what we do from the planning side, we do the best we can, and we're working with the first district, but it's going to come down to county commission desires, city council desires, and working them out. So it's interesting.
Commissioner Pierce.
Bob, did you say we are going to have another joint jurisdiction meeting before the public hearing?
That I don't know the actual specifics. We're trying for March 29th, but we're not getting a lot of feedback yet on the March 29th meeting.
Okay, so that's still a possibility and should stay on
Yeah.
our calendars. And then I just had a question for you. So I've read the draft, okay, and I've had the conversation because for this part, I sit on city planning and zoning, and I've had the conversation with Ryan Miller about the things that, some things that I saw that needed to be fixed. Would you like me to send you a copy of that?
By all means, I have,
Okay. Okay, and those things, one of them I've talked to Dan about, and I don't want to waste everybody's time, but Dan doesn't know this either. There's a whole section, and I think it's probably in our county ordinance too, that says if you violate the planning and zoning ordinance, there's a $500 fine or 30 days in jail, and those monies go into the city finance office and into the county's general registry. That's not correct. And all of that stuff will have to be fixed. But there's some other things, and I'll send it to you. Thank you.
when you do send something to me, I just ask that you let me know if it's shareable or not. I mean,
Yeah.
you're also a lawyer, and some stuff is not
Yeah. No,
shareable.
all
but-
my opinions are shareable.
Okay. Thank you. And once again, we got storm spotter training we're talking about. We talked about zoning board vacancy. We have reached out to 7 citizens. All have declined so far. We had a zoning board member up in the missing area, contact one, and we've got a nibble. They still have to talk to their spouse. And so maybe we'll get that missing board member yet. We'll try and like the double. And on Thursday and Friday, there's a emergency management virtual conference. I'm not asking the county to pay for it, but I'm just letting you know I may be on a Zoom call attending that. I'll pay out of my pocket on this one for career enhancement. But I may be in the office listening to emergency management topics on Thursday and Friday. The spotter training we talked about, and I think that's it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Misty, any report?
Good morning.
Morning.
I just want to let you know we are working on a truck that had left me stranded twice last fall. We got half the motor tore apart. It's sitting in the highway shop. You're going to see a pretty good sized bill coming from the highway department. It needs water pump, filters, belts, pulleys. Since we have the engine apart, it makes sense to repair all this now. So that way we have a reliable truck and we don't have to be broke down for weeks at a time this summer. So it's about a $3,880 bill right now. It could be higher, it could be lower. It's just a quote. We don't know for sure what it's exactly going to cost. But I just wanted to let you know that that would be coming across the table. Otherwise, that is the only thing that came up, so.
Any questions?
Do you have any?
One quick question. What's the truck? How old is it?
It's a Sterling, 2004 Sterling. It's the one we just received from Highway last year.
Okay. It's a hand-me-down from the highway. They didn't
Yes.
take care of it, and now we got problems.
Well, they took care of it. They did quite a bit of work to it before we received it in the weed department. They fixed brakes, they put tires on, they fixed everything that needed to be fixed. While we were driving it after we got the spray system put on it, then it left me stranded. Actually, Larry can account for this. He's seen me sitting there waiting for me to be rescued. But it's things happening. The water pump pulley is going out. You can move that thing, so we have
I
the,
mean, I understand that. My concern is are we throwing good money after bad if this thing is old and outdated?
I don't think
I
so.
don't know what age the truck is. Any idea how old it is?
It's 2004.
Repairable. 2000.
It is.
Very
Yeah,
useful
it's
truck.
repairable then. Okay, that
And-
was my question.
As much as it gets used, it's a very
Yeah.
good truck.
Thank you, Larry. You took the words
Hopefully
right
it
out
wasn't
of
a 1902 or something.
No, no.
At some point you.
And essentially, we're going to be, well, that'll be the next meeting. I'll talk to Jenna, but we have a truck that we need to surplus,
Okay,
a truck with a flatbed on it, so.
thank you.
But, yeah,
And our highway department's doing the work, is that right?
that's correct. I have
Money moving.
a quote list if you need it. I can sure hand it to you out. It's up to you. But I just wanted to let you know that came about Friday. So,
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Misty. Yep.
thank you.
Marty?
Good morning. First of all, before I get in, a couple weeks ago, you had some individuals from teen court that gave a presentation and stuff. So it kind of brought back memories of when teen court started in Brookings County. That myself and Cindy Schmidt and Lee Lund from the police department and it might have been Keeney at the time, and we traveled to Lawrence County and learned how to do that. Brought it back. Pitched it to Clyde Calhoun at that particular time. And then there was some additional training in Chicago that I didn't go to. But it's just interesting how it's evolved from then. It's pretty humble beginnings. A lot of volunteer work, and I think the county probably picked up a tab for a lot of any expenses and stuff, but how it's evolved over the course of the years. So it was kind of neat to think of that. And then just speaking of Clyde, before I get into my other reports, is that I did visit with a couple of you about what I'd like to do after Phase 2 is completed, is to name the law library classroom, that programming area, after Clyde, the Calhoun Law Library or whatever. And I did speak with Karen Calhoun about it. And she just asked that once we do that, is if she could come in and see that area and stuff. So if you guys have no objections to that, probably get some type of plaque and put up in that area. So anyway, just getting into my report and stuff, I have 29 of my own inmates, or county inmates, I shouldn't say my inmates, county inmates, 4 from Moody and 1 from Clay. I still holding 1 Clay to help him out. Also, I just want to bring to your attention, and it's something I'm probably going to start doing, is that, and it's better than it has been, but I have 3 pretrial inmates that one has spent 277 days, one 290 days, and 262 days. I think anything after 180 days, I'm going to let you guys know. You know, I just to the fact is that the longer they're there, of course, it costs us more money. But all 3 of these individuals need to be in jail. I mean, they're probably risk to society. So I mean, they need to ankle monitorings or anything is not in the question. So, but I just want to bring that to your attention. Otherwise, I continue to be short-staffed in the correction side. We're going to do the job fair. I'm hoping it'll bring some attention to the sheriff's office and stuff. My staff is doing a good job of preparing for that and so forth. It's hard to compete right now that Walmart is starting pay is $19.50 in Brookings. And so it's, you know, I know that there's some, you know, Lake County is offering $2,000 sign-up on bonus for correctional officers and that, but I'm not looking at trying to promote that at this time or anything. I just hope that we'll be able to get some people hired and stuff. So just to keep you informed, there's going to be some overtime with full-time staff. I'm down full-time, 2 full-time, and half a dozen or better part-time. So one thing is my office staff has stepped up. You know, both my office people Andrew and Matt started in the jail. So they've really stepped up. They're going to help us do some training with the new ones that we have hired, and they're going to fill in a little bit too to make sure that we have good coverage. So staff is stepping up, but again, there's going to be some overtime issues. So just something to make you aware of. Now on the sheriff's side, got everybody hired. One's at the academy right now. Anna Sells is at the academy right now. I have the last hire who is coming from Potter County. He's going to be starting soon. The new hires that I have previous experience, so they're not going to have to be in the training. Normally, they're in a field training officer for 16 weeks, but I think I can cut that down with a couple of them because they're catching on good. A lot of it is just learning the county and learning our procedures and procedures. The state has pretty much got the same software, the Zerker or Central Square. So that's half the battle. They don't have to learn that. That's already learned. So it's just learning basically our policies and procedures and stuff. So that's going well. Also, as you recall, I got the COPS grant, which allows me to hire a person, which I did, and that was Anna Sells off that COPS grant. So that frees up my school resource officer's kind of got a dual role with the community policing officer also, and he's done a good job of going into businesses and so forth and updating our after-hours files in case windows are broken in a business and stuff like that. So that's helped to free him up. And he's busy in the schools too. We seem to have a lot of incidences in the school. Sioux Valley keeps us busy, and so does Elkton with individuals with problems inside the schools and so forth. So other than that, staff, my people have been busy with just calls for service seem to increase, and we stay busy. So if you have any questions. No questions, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Moving on to item 6C, the finance officer's report. So we have the auditor's account with the treasurer, payroll and additives total, highway expenditures report, and the register of collected for our be it noted items. Any additional, Lori? Nothing? Okay. We'll need action to approve the first quarter transfers per budget appropriations. So we have two separate transfers. We'll take action on them separately, correct, Stacy?
You can do them together.
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the first one is from General Fund 101 to Highway and Bridge Fund 201-3-371-000 in the amount of $419,988.50. And item B is from the General Fund 101 for 911-4290 to Emergency Management Fund 226-3-371-0000 in the amount of $38,112.50. Would there be a motion to approve?
So, second.
Any discussion on those two transfers? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Also, we did have, I handed out this morning a department head report from Dustin out at the BCOAC. Just a quick update from him. The second page at the meeting, at the advisory board meeting yesterday, he did submit that letter from the GFNP that the BCOAC did receive a grant, a $20,000 grant that now, like the GFNP has approved it, now that moves on to the Office of Federal Assistance to get their blessing on that. So working through that process, but he wanted to share that information for sure with you.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move on to item 8A, the presentation of their 2021 annual report. And that's from the finance office.
Any questions?
So what that is just the published portion of the annual report, which will be in the paper this week. The entire report is down in my office in a binder if you're interested in looking at it, but there was a couple changes to the major funds. So like you'll see the American Rescue Plan Act, and you'll notice the building fund isn't there, and that's just because of how, it's because of that American Rescue Plan Act. That one kind of bumped the building fund out. So the building fund is part of the other governmental funds column there. So yeah.
I have a question.
Commissioner Pierce.
Under which of the categories does the money that we spend on 4-H and extension fall? When we're looking at
General
expense?
fund.
So,
So if you wanted to see it broken out, it'd have to be in some of those other spreadsheets that are the bigger part of the annual report.
so when we look at the categories of expenses, and I don't know, Stacy, if you can scoot that up a little bit, we've got, does it fall under recreation, or it's got to be in one of those things there? And I was just curious where we put it. Is it recreation, culture, whatever? Where does the, you know, where the 4-H monies go? And what I really was wondering is the 328, is that all BCOAC, or does that include extension 4-H in there?
So recreation is OAC.
And I didn't mean to throw you off.
No,
sorry.
that's okay. I should have brought the whole thing up. I'd have to look. I think it's part of the recreation because I think they both fall under there, but I'm not sure.
And maybe you could just send an email
Okay.
out on that. That would
Yep.
be great.
That culture amount is too small to be just extension, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
So I want that, I think that's libraries, isn't it? And maybe a couple
probably
other
museum,
things.
library, some of
Museum,
those,
yeah.
yeah.
That could be.
So,
There's also just the broad category of other general government.
I didn't make the spreadsheet. I just filled in the numbers.
Any other questions? Thanks to Jen for doing that, and the office for doing all the work. We've been preparing for absences, and I think everything's going to go great with Jen watching the office, so thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need this. Item 8B, to approve Resolution 22-11, a resolution designating March 29th, 2022 as Welcome Home Veterans Day. And I will read that into the public record while we're all here. So, whereas the Vietnam War was fought in Vietnam from 1961 to 1975 and involved North Vietnam and the Viet Cong in conflict with the United States Armed Forces in South Vietnam. And whereas the United States became involved in the Vietnam War because policymakers in the United States believed that if South Vietnam fell to a communist government, then communism would spread through the rest of Southeast Asia. And whereas members of the United States Armed Forces began serving in an advisory role to the South Vietnamese in 1961, and whereas due to the Gulf of Tonkin incidents on August 2nd, 1964 and August 4th, 1964, Congress overwhelmingly passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution on August 7th, 1964, which effectively handed over war-making powers to President Johnson until such time as peace and security had returned to Vietnam. And whereas in 1965, United States Armed Forces ground combat units arrived in Vietnam. Now I don't know where I'm at, Stacy. And whereas by the end of 1965, there were 80,000 United States troops in Vietnam, and by 1969, a peak of approximately 543,000 troops was reached. And whereas on January 27th, 1973, the Treaty of Paris was signed, which required the release of all United States prisoners of war held in North Vietnam and the withdrawal of all United States armed forces from South Vietnam. And whereas on March 29, 1973, the United States Armed Forces completed the withdrawal of combat troops from Vietnam. And whereas more than 58,000 members of the United States Armed Forces lost their lives in Vietnam, and more than 300,000 members of the armed forces were wounded. And whereas upon their return home, members of the United States Armed Forces who served bravely and faithfully for the United States during the Vietnam War were caught in the crossfire of public debate about the involvement of the United States in the Vietnam War. And whereas it was also the first time in history the United States failed to welcome its veterans back as heroes. And whereas the establishment of a Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day would be an appropriate way to honor those members of the United States Armed Forces who served during the Vietnam War. And now therefore be it resolved that the Brookings County Commission does hereby recognize March 29th, 2022 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. Be it further resolved that the Brookings County Commission further honors and recognizes the contributions of veterans of the armed forces who served in the Vietnam War, dated this 22nd day of March, 2022. Mr.
Madam
Hill.
Chair, if I may,
Yes, sir.
on behalf of the veterans organizations in Brookings County, I happen to be the commander of the Disabled American Veterans and members of other organizations. I want to thank the county commission for taking the time and the honor of doing this for our veterans. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, and we thank you. Commissioner Pierce.
We haven't, the 8 years I've been on the commission, done a resolution like this, and I'm not opposed to it or anything like that, but I was curious, Bob, did you bring that forth, or where did it come from?
Governor Nome was the one that started it, and I'm sure our county veteran service officer brought it to Stacy's attention. But it's a nationwide thing, almost like the commemoration for the World War II veterans and the Korean veterans. It's starting to steamroll more and more now. And, we're still losing people to Agent Orange. I just lost, 2 years ago, I lost a brother to Agent Orange. And Vietnam War is not over to a lot of these guys that's got PTSD.
Thank you.
Commissioner
Again,
Bartley.
I echo Bob's comments as a veteran myself who served at the end of the Vietnam War, not having to go to Vietnam, but was in the Army at the time. And I can tell you that it not only rolled over some of the angst that veterans had leaving the military service who maybe did not serve in Vietnam, but who, because they were in the military, were looked down upon by an awful lot of the public. And this is a long time coming, and I support this proclamation. I think it should have happened years ago, but we are in an era right now where we do support our military, and I hope that continues for a long time. But as a veteran, this is a great way to honor those veterans for the Vietnam era war.
Would there be a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments? Jenna, call the roll, please.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right, we'll move on to item 8C quickly. Action to approve abatement number 22-17, an abatement application made by Brookings Football Club for parcel number 40473-0180-001-00 in the amount of $12,474.18. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item 8D, action to approve abatement number 22-18, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01500-001-00 in the amount of $67.56. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
motion carries.
We'll move back to our scheduled agenda item for 9 o'clock public hearing and action to approve a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license for Smokin's Pub and Grub. Would there be a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. We'll open the public hearing for comment. Would you care to, anybody have questions for the applicant or Jenna, comments from the commission side?
Just one question. Do we have hours of operation that you anticipate having?
Will be a
Why don't you come up to
Would
the
you come to the
microphone, please?
microphone? Yeah.
Hours of operation will be Thursday through Sunday as, for the season and it's definitely seasonal business out there. So,
So at this point in time, you, Tuesday through Sunday,
Thursdays
Or
through
Thurs-
Sundays.
Thursday through Sunday.
Yep, I have live music. It's outdoors. Yes, yep,
Kind of basically a weekend
yes,
operational
Yes.
structure.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Any opponent or proponents at all? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any other commissioner comments?
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And because we have them scheduled for specific times, legally, we have to wait till 9:05. So we'll pop ahead and then we'll come right back.
Okay.
So item 8E, action to approve abatement number 22-19, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01500-002-00 in the amount of $42.38. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item F, action to approve abatement number 22-20, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01500-003-00 in the amount of $42.38. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item G, action to approve abatement number 22-21, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01500-004-00 in the amount of $42.38. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item H, action to approve abatement number 22-22, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01500-005-00 in the amount of $42.38. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item I, action to approve abatement number 22-23, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01200-006-00 in the amount of $48.26. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item J, action to approve abatement number 22-24, an abatement application made by Brookings Habitat for Humanity for parcel number 40621-01200-007-00 in the amount of $48.26. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
It's 9:05. We'll pop back to item 7B, the public hearing and action to approve a retail on-sale liquor license for Smokin's Pub and Grub. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
We will open the public hearing. Are there any proponents? Any opponents of the proposed motion? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments by the commissioners? Commissioner Pierce?
This would still be the Thursday through Sunday, the same operation.
Okay. Jenna, did you have comments as well?
Oh, yes, I just did want to note that a notice of the available liquor license was published in the newspapers, and this was the only application that our office had received.
Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Move back to item 8K. Action to approve agreement number 22-30, a State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Joint Powers Agreement for pocket gopher baiting services.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item L, action to approve agreement number 22-31, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by Sioux Valley Energy in Brookings Township. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item M, action to approve agreement number 22-32, an application for the occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by Sioux Valley Energy in Brookings Township. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item N, action to approve agreement number 22-33, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by East River Electric Power Cooperative, Inc. in Brookings Township. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item O, action to approve agreement number 22-34, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by East River Electric Power Cooperative, Inc. in Brookings Township. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item P, action to approve agreement number 22-35, an agreement between Brookings County and Bose Construction, Inc. for the 2022 Brookings County Surfacing Project. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
This was bid, and Bo's receipt was the low bid on this, so this is the contract approving that.
Any questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Excuse me. Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item Q, action to approve agreement number 22-36, the State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for Rehabilitation Replacement, Local Administration for Structure 06-150-215, project number BRF 6361 parentheses 00 22-05 PCN 08WY. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Do we have that one mapped out where that is, Stacy?
I do not. At the last meeting, if you recall, part of Brian's report had included a couple of the big grants that we received. This agreement and the following one is for those, but I'm not entirely sure where those are. No.
Larry doesn't know off the top of his head either. What's that? You don't know off the top of your head either, do you?
Location?
Yeah.
This is south and west of White.
Brilliant. Just in case anybody was wondering, south and west of White. Any further comments on this item? Call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item R, action to approve agreement number 22-37, a State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for Rehabilitation or Replacement, Local Administration for structure number 06-320-118. Project number BRF 6323 parentheses 00 22-6 PCN 08X0. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any-
Larry, do you know where this one is?
This is on County Road 35, just south 36.
Perfect.
Be over the eastern part of the county, straight east of Bushnell, basically.
Gotcha. Thanks, Larry. Any other questions or discussion on this one? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item S, action to approve the low bid for the 2022 chip seal project to Top Coat Inc. of Yankton, South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
I was just curious if Brian was here, I'd ask him, maybe Stacy will know. How does this compare to last year's bid price for that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? We'll note that and see if we can get in touch with Brian to get answers to those. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item T, action to approve the estimate from Michael's Fence and Supply for the Highway Department fence of $12,837. Is there a motion to approve?
So, second.
Any discussion on this one?
It's really needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if you read through my staff report on this, Brian isn't here. He's out in Deadwood at the short course right now, but they looked into what would be more cost effective if it was to replace it or not, and or to repair it or not, and it was the replacement due to the age of the mechanism was just was more cost effective to just replace it. So if you had any questions, I can sure pass those along, but he is recommending approval.
Great. Hearing no other questions, call the roll, please.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item U, action to approve the estimate from Guarantee Roofing and Sheet Metal for the lower west roof of the sheriff's office for $29,925. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item V, action to approve the estimate from Guarantee Roofing and Sheet Metal for the sheriff's office roof for $80,245. Is there a motion to approve?
So
Move approval.
move. Second.
Any discussion on this one? And these, we approved the expenditure before we approved the idea of re-roofing. This is the estimate to go along with that approval that was given at a previous. So this is approving the amount. If there are no further comments, roll call, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item W, action to approve a request to fill vacancy for a full-time correctional officer in the sheriff's office. Would there be a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item X, action to declare a washer and dryer as surplus property to be sold via online auction. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Jenna, did you want to chat about this one?
It sounds to me like, and Stacy might have more of an idea of this, but Terry Heidemann wanted to. Is this over at the sheriff's office? It was at the sheriff's office. Oh, okay. So this washer and dryer came over from the sheriff's office and is now located downstairs in the basement.
Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9, Commission Department Directors Report.
Part of my report included the Veteran Service Officer report for both January and February. You can see there 6 and 3 different outreach events that Courtney attended. And then in February, 63 appointments, 4 outreach events. She did attend 1 conference as well. Included with my report was the geographic distribution of VA expenditures, or they call the GDX report for fiscal year 2020. The VSO, and of course these are numbers under former Veteran Service Officer Mike Holzhauser, but $6.369 million in disability compensation and pension in Brookings County was brought in. If you want to compare Coddington, who has 2 full-time staff dedicated to VSO work, they brought in not a whole lot more than what what Mike did. So that's good to see. And that report is attached. And it's a couple, like I said, a couple years delayed, but it's interesting numbers. It's good to see those numbers. So Courtney provided that. The general fund surplus analysis information was included with my report. 14% is where we ended February at. That is pretty much spot on right at the 10-year average, so we're in good shape there. Commissioner Krogman obviously is not here today, but he did want me to share that Beta did not receive that facility project grant. No South Dakota projects actually received grant dollars from that this round of applications for the Beta bus garage. So he wanted me to share that with you. Some upcoming things: Taste of Brookings annual celebration. This is the formerly the Chamber's annual meeting. It's Tuesday, April 19th. It's up at Club 71 at SDSU at Dana J. Dyke House Stadium. Who plans to attend?
What was the date again?
April 19th.
Do we get tickets as part of our membership? How does that work?
I think we get 1 or 2 tickets, so we would use those too. I mean, as part of, if depending on how many people go, we would just use those towards our reservation.
I plan on going.
You do? Mike?
Do we happen to know the time on that?
Did I have that in there? I think it's like a social hour and then the meal following. I will get that to you. I mean, it's an evening thing.
Okay.
I want to say like 5:30, and then 6:30 is the meal. Like. And then we do need to schedule a time. I know there's been talk about getting a time to set aside to discuss the ARPA funds again and have kind of a dedicated conversation to that. How would you like me to get that scheduled? Are you thinking that you'd want to do that maybe like a Tuesday afternoon after a commission meeting? You want to do it, I mean, it's kind of hard to do it as part of the commission meeting. I think it might be kind of lengthy unless we could fit that in sometime here in one of the next meetings, but maybe a Tuesday afternoon after one of your next commission meetings, set aside that afternoon to do that. Does anyone have time that does work, doesn't work?
Or the day of equalization boards, typically that doesn't take the whole morning.
Typically, I don't know. I haven't asked. I don't know. Jenna, do you know have we received many appeals for equalization yet?
I have not heard of a single one.
Okay. So it should go then. Of course, the deadline isn't for a couple of weeks, a few weeks yet. So things maybe still may trickle in.
Right.
but-
I believe April 5th is the deadline
Okay.
for people to appeal.
Do we have a time scheduled for the equalization board
8:30 a.m. on the 12th.
8:30 on the 12th.
on the 12th?
Yeah.
I mean, that afternoon is open for me if it's open for others.
The afternoon of the 12th.
That'll work.
Yes? Okay. I will reach out to Commissioner Krogman with all of this as well.
Is that a 1 o'clock start in the afternoon? Or 1:30, or what time do you want to start?
1 o'clock?
Sure.
Does that work?
Okay, 1 o'clock.
And do you want to have that in here? Do you want to go next door in the community room?
I feel like next door is easier.
Community room? See if that's available. We did receive letters from the City of Aurora and the City of Aurora Planning and Zoning Commission stating their report for the proposed 214th Street project. I've included those letters with my report. couple other things that I have. I handed out this morning, we can put them up on the screen here. Zoom in. The updated financials for the jail project. So you can see there I have the revenue kind of parsed out by year, expenditures by year. BKV is our architect, the contract amount, what has been billed and what's remaining to date, so about just under 10,500. And then Henry Carlson is our construction management team and their contract amount, some change orders, and then kind of spelling out what's left to remain, what's left to pay there on that contract. Questions and Solutions Engineering, that is the, if you recall, those are the folks doing the commissioning of the building. So they've done, some of their work now with phase 1 and, still some things remaining as we wrap up phase 2. Some of our funding information down below as far as, what we have left in fund balance. At this point, based on what we have remaining, I don't know that we'll have to move any more money over, but I'll keep an eye on that as we continue forward. So, do you have any other questions on that, on those numbers? Or if you have a chance to look at them, sorry, I just updated those yesterday and wanted to get those out to you. I hadn't done that in a while, so wanted to let you know where we were at. Wondering, Dustin had asked me yesterday at the advisory board meeting about whether or not, does he need to submit a request to fill vacancy for part-time membership assistants? I know we have so many that we are allotted, as long as he doesn't go over budget. I think he's anticipating a possible resignation. So I guess the ask is, can we go ahead and start advertising for that? He has open positions as well, where just one is what he's asking for right now. And then we would bring the formal request.
Sorry. I think he should follow the exact same process that any other department follows as relates to part-time people. I don't think we should change it for BCOAC. That's how we get into trouble.
Right, except for part-time correctional officers, we never bring requests to fill vacancies for those.
So whatever we do for everybody else.
Okay,
is what
so if
we
there
should
is
be
a
doing.
set number and you are, okay. Yep. All right. So you probably won't see that then because he has a certain number and he's within that. So, so if you see that advertised, that is why. Information, we did finally get some resolution from our insurance for reimbursement for the chiller breakdown and fire that we had this past summer. All said and done, we'll be receiving $40,688.21. That will be split between the city and the county for the expenses. We had the $10,000 deductible. So that all finally has kind of come through. I also passed out this morning, and Bob had mentioned it too, that the Brookings County Annual Feed sponsored by the Brookings Volunteer Fire Department is next Tuesday, March 29th. It's at the fire hall at 6th and 20th. I think the East Fire Hall is what they call it, the one kind of right on 6th Street there, right by Burger King. 5:30 social hour, 6:30 dinner. So they wanted to make sure that you're invited to that, and so that was handed out this morning. Then upcoming dates. Tomorrow, Sioux Valley Commissioners meeting in Clark. Commissioners Bartley and Jensen and myself are going. Lori is going. I think Jen is going. The five of us, I believe Bev is going to, but she's going to drive separately. But we're going to all go in the Durango tomorrow. It starts at noon. What time, or do you want to head out? Are we meeting out at the highway shop to get that? I think.
I don't know, we can either have them bring the Drago down here, meet here, or you want to meet at the highway shop, doesn't matter to me.
I think we just meet out at the highway shop because then somebody doesn't have to drive that back and forth.
Okay.
It's probably a little easier. Clark is probably hour and a half, hour 40 probably. So
Meet at 10, 10:15.
10, about, we want to meet, 10 o'clock out there?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. This Saturday is the Brookings School Board Candidate Forum being held here in this room. If you want to attend, that's at 9:30. As we already discussed, 8:30 a.m. equalization boards on Tuesday, April 12th. We will meet here in the chambers for that meeting, and then as we just talked about, the other discussion will be, I'll try to reserve the community room at 1:30 for our ARPA discussion. Friday, April 15th, county offices close at noon for Good Friday. We talked about the Taste of Brookings annual celebration. I don't have the times on there, so that leads me to believe it was sort of save the date at this point. So as soon as I know exact times, I will let you know. Looking out a little bit further, there's a few of you that are planning to attend the NACO Weir Western Interstate Region Conference up in Alaska, so those dates are noted there as well. And I think I've talked enough. I'm done.
Thank you.
Stacy, are you going to put the ribbon cutting on your calendar?
Yes, that's the 11th of
I-
May,
I
I
think-
think.
I think
I
so.
don't know if I have a time, but yeah, I'll add that.
Okay.
Yep.
Groundbreaking? Yeah.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking. Okay. Any other questions for Stacy? State's Attorney's Office report? Not even a verbal no. Head shake.
The only thing I would say is I submitted our application to the Catastrophic Legal Assistance Counties Association for the Fayette matter. So that includes the court-appointed attorney fees as well as the jail housing costs as well. So they reached back out to me. There's a little bit of follow-up, but hopefully we'll have a determination on that, in which case Brookings County will receive tens of thousands of dollars back from that fund that we've paid into for, numerous years. So
Thank you. Commissioner Pierce.
I had a question for Dan on the welfare side of what's going on, and I read those numbers wherever they were at and looked at the lien information that Lori had in her report. Is it possible for you, when you're doing the stuff you submit on those numbers, to include what's going on with the lien collections? And I just wonder if we need to start out with because we kind of changed how we're doing everything, if we need to be looking at a fresh perspective. I was just curious as I was looking at your report about the number of people that did get assistance, so.
yeah, and I actually wanted to visit with you and Lori
Okay.
about that lien entry information, and then in terms of the back and forth between finance and the welfare department.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
Great. Anything else? We'll move on to item 11, Commissioner reports and discussion items, starting with Commissioner Pierce.
So on March 16th, I attended my first ICAP meeting, which was interesting. And there are a lot of different parts to the organization to learn about. Fun to, I'm not sure that's the right word, but interesting to get it figured out. On March 19th, I attended the City Council Forum here in this room. Commissioner Boersma did a lovely job of being the moderator, and we had more than a full house. We had to bring out some extra chairs. A few people sat out in the hallway, so there was a very good turnout. It was an unusual format. I'm not sure what the general response is. I've heard both ways on the format because the chamber decided to divide up the candidates into groups based on whether they were running for 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year positions. So then it just made for an interesting way of moving forward with it. But there were lots of questions, lots of people, and that was all good. I did want to talk just a little bit about the joint jurisdiction ordinance. And in that ordinance, we have some general statements that relate to agriculture that come out of our county master comprehensive plan. One of them, for example, is the purpose of the ordinance, and this would now be the joint jurisdiction, not our county ordinance, but the joint jurisdiction, is to promote large, it doesn't say large lot, large units of agricultural work. And I'm not sure that that is really appropriate in joint jurisdiction. And I wonder if the county commission, because as I've told you before, the planning commission for the county said, you know, the county commission needs to figure some of this stuff out as relates to residential development. If we are interested in doing any type of housing, we need to change those general statements that have significance if you have litigation. You know, you read them there and they just sound like verbiage, right? But if you actually have litigation, the court goes back and looks at the comp plan or your ordinance, and they look at those general statements, and those are taken as a position that you've taken. Now, maybe in joint jurisdiction, agricultural production is still our main goal. I don't know that because we haven't had the conversation, but that really stuck out to me when I read through how this ordinance is written. And what concerns me is, so now maybe we're going to have another meeting on the 29th, but we're not sure. But then we're going to go into our public hearing that comes out of the city and the county planning boards. And then after that, if each of those boards recommended, it goes to the city council and the county commission. If we want anything significant changed, once it gets to us to look at, we have to start all over again. It has to go back to the commissions, and you have to have another. So if we have an interest in speaking up on how any of that is written, it'd be nice to do that before we start having our public hearings. And I'm just curious as whether that's a conversation that you all might want to have. And I know Commissioner Bartley, who also serves on joint jurisdiction, might have some opinions on that. But it's those overbroad statements. There are some smaller things that need to be fixed, and those all get taken care of. But what is our goal on the joint jurisdiction ordinance? What is our purpose? That really needs to be said clearly in there. If it's the same as for every other parcel of ag land in the county, so be it. But if what we're saying is we think that this is an area where maybe there ought to be some opportunities for housing, we need to say that. And that would be my report.
Thank you. Marty has a question.
Just to kind of feed off that, how about law enforcement in that joint jurisdiction? You know, is that, if you're looking at changing things for residential, or bring more residential in that joint, is my office going to be responsible to answer those calls? You know, by statute, the municipal police have power 1 mile outside of the legal speed limit, or town boundaries in that joint jurisdiction. Now, who's going to be responsible to take those calls? Is it going to be my office, which is going to increase staff, or is it going to be the city police? So I think that's something we need to look at for law enforcement within that joint jurisdiction.
Right. And I understand that. Those are all issues. One of the other things, the whole enforcement of the ordinance part probably isn't right. And if Dan's office had a chance to take a look at that before it went to public hearing, that would be great. Because what it says in that ordinance is that the Brookings County State's Attorney is responsible for prosecution of all offenses under the ordinance. And that's whether it's a city violation or a county violation. And I don't know if that's actually how you want that. All of that part was written in the 80s, and a lot of things changed in how the courts and prosecution in Brookings and the city and the county work. So I think that needs to be looked at, hopefully before we go to public hearing. So
Commissioner Bartley.
Question for Dan. I haven't seen these changes, and I asked Commissioner Pierce to send them to me so I can take a look at them and review those changes or her questions on changes. But specifically, when we get back to this enforcement, the city doesn't really have any prosecutorial. I mean, anything has to come through your office if it's a city violation of the joint jurisdiction. It still comes to you for prosecution anyway,
I
right?
can say right now, the language that would say that a city ordinance violation would come through my office, I don't want that language in there, because that's not how we do anything else.
Okay.
I mean, Steve Wrightsman, the city attorney, prosecutes city ordinance violations.
He does. Okay.
I only handle county or crimes committed against the state, and I think it should stay that way. So if there's language in there from the 80s that says that the state's attorney's office is responsible for city ordinance violations, that needs to be removed.
Okay.
So-
I don't think that's a big issue to
Yeah.
change. And going back to the housing question itself, the county planning commission has always been to preserve the agricultural area, whether it's joint jurisdiction or outside the city. And the way the whole ordinance is basically written, in my impression is, if it's ag, we take care of it. If it's not ag, the city takes care of it. If it's a housing issue where there's a development and it's in the joint jurisdiction area and it has to be annexed because it's under 35 acres, it now becomes a city enforcement problem because it has to be annexed, has to be continuous, has to be annexed if it's going to be under 35 acres. Now, if we're going to change that, we have some smaller ones we're going to allow in there. Probably end up in the county's jurisdiction, but I don't think there's a great enough number of them that it should create an issue, but we can certainly try it and answer your question more closely. I'll have Luke look at it and see.
Thank you. Any other questions? We'll move on. Commissioner Bartley, your report.
Real short. I had a detention center. I keep calling it the jail. I'm supposed to call it the detention center, I was told. So, the detention center committee construction committee met, and Larry and I both went to it. We discussed this roofing issue. We discussed some other issues. They are completely gutted out inside, and they're feeling like they're going to be on schedule. They start putting the block in, I assume, already this week. They should go pretty fast, according to Henry Carlson. And the biggest issues are basically moving the equipment over and getting the floor put in. We had some structural issues that they had to address that BKV and the structural engineers had to go across, and Henry Carlson had some suggestions on how to fix it, and I guess they worked it all out for load bearing to make sure it doesn't fall down at some point in time. So anytime you open up an old project like the old jail, you get surprises, and they've handled those surprises pretty well. I'm impressed. So completion should be on schedule.
Awesome. Commissioner Jensen.
On the 10th, also attended the detention center meeting. Like Mike said, mechanical room, they wanted to make sure that they had all of the structural steel and block walls in place before they start adding extra weight on there, and that's what we talked about. And basically the roof project, I think, is a good deal to move forward with. We can get one product and it'll all be warranty the same, and we won't have little bits and pieces of roofing up there. So I'm glad we can prove that today. On the 15th, Commissioner Krogman and I sat in on a quarterly strategic planning meeting with Barry Dunn and the school district and some city staff. May 11th was the groundbreaking for the overpass that was brought up. Also, the city was working on a stormwater plan, having some meetings on that. Otherwise, Commissioner Kroger and myself just gave an update on the county and what's been going on and how we've been perceiving and the grants we've received on our bridge program. On the 18th, I went out on the Sinai Road, the bridge out there. They were pouring the deck on the bridge that day. I met Brian out there, and we watched him pour some of the deck out there. It was interesting to see the big trucks pumping the concrete up there, and it was about a 4 or 5 hour process just to pour the cement, but that went quite well, I assume, and they're going to they were heating the deck, so about 7 days the deck would be cured out. They had hopes. So, and that be on the 21st. I did have an outdoor adventure center advisory board meeting. Like Stacy gave in a report, moving forward on our. They'll be coming forward is the room in the viewing area, some sound abatement with added glass and some soundproofing in there. It was good to receive the GF&P grant again, working quite well with them. And Dustin had some meetings with our 4-H advisor, the City of Brookings Park and Rec, and I believe GF&P intern will be coming on board do some more programming out there. They had a huge event out there, running sponsored an archery shoot that was very well attended. They were actually had to turn some people away because they were full. Running's plans on hosting that event again next year. So that would be all I have.
Commissioner Pierce?
Have they heard anything about Game Fish and Parks and the additional office space that they were interested in? Is that moving forward at all?
That Ryan's keeping the fire going on that. Emmett Kaiser was approaching the people out in Pier. We're hoping that it'll move forward. See what their involvement will be. But they hired one extra person. It sounds like they're going to be hiring another person. They're going to need at least 2 offices. The way it's sounding now, we'll have to look at the building, see if there's, if we can add on to that. It'd be nice to get some office space and some storage area and possibly another meeting room. So, but it sounds like talks are still going. So.
Sounds good. Other questions? All right. March, a little bit about the City Council Candidate Forum. That format, I think, in some respects works well. I think with 7 candidates, it's too many people for one forum. And I think they realize that, and so it may be different in the future. So we'll have to see. On the 21st, we had a NACO Arts and Culture Committee meeting, and then also the evening of the 21st, we had a Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness Board meeting. And so last night at that board meeting, authorized the first of hopefully 2 property acquisitions to help assist in their ongoing plans for expansion. So we're making headway. So it is fun to sit on that board and watch how different it has become in the last 4 years. To be cash flow positive consistently month over month is incredible, especially when it comes to fee for service, as opposed to strictly public support making that happen. So it's pretty incredible, and they are in desperate need of more space and more staff. So as we move forward, that'll be a great opportunity for us to kind of partner with Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness and make sure that we're helping to address those mental behavioral health needs in the community. So that would be my report. A couple other items, just note that the museum board thank you was in there, and then that DANR report for Lindy Dairy. So moving on to item 12, an executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 2(1) and 4 for personnel and contract negotiations. Would there be a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll take a quick 5-minute recess and meet in executive session at 9:50.